Cherry's three. Johnny Walker. Ashing up against control. His shot. Bruce score. They score. They tie the game up 2-2. Some drives out for Robbie Ryan. Her three right on the money. This is Thea Hansen for three. Other side of the rim with a pretty reverse. Wow. 5 seconds to go. Find Hawk. Hawk spins. It rolls off. And Arizona State wins it. Edward pulls off. And buries the front. Daniels takes the shot for
Happy Thursday. Welcome into Pitchfork Lunch. Yes, I am Michael Caratanudo at Diablo00 on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, as we get rolling here on a Thursday. Well, one day closer to Territorial Cup matchup on the women's hoop side, as that team from down south comes up to Tempe to take on their Pac-12 rivals, and both of them right now out of conference-wise with a very similar record. So yes, it gets closer. It is on Sunday. Obviously, as each day goes by, very stoked for that matchup, to say the least. For all Territorial Cup matchups, let me go there, because again, the rivalry is but yeah, for the rivalry, sorry. It's, and again, to me, it's just one of those things where when you having been around it, especially on that side, and like I said, record-wise, at a conference, because the only two teams that have played a conference game are Washington and Washington State, and the Huskies won that. And yeah, they just beat Washington State. So that did open up conference play. But yeah, when we look at both ASU and the Cats are 7-3 overall right now. So again, good starts. I mean, everybody in the conference, out of conference fight, off to a good start. Obviously, like I said, 5 ranked teams coming into this this weekend play. UCLA is number 2. USC is number 6. Colorado is 8. Stanford 9. And Utah is 11. Again, Utah dealing with a little bit of injuries, but they also did just take on number 1 South Carolina, and they did fall 78-69. Again, it's and I did see parts of the game, and Utah, I mean, looked pretty good. South Carolina showing, of course, why they are number 1, and what Don Staley has going on down there is, yes, very, very special. But yeah, Utah's had some pretty big wins. I mean, they did fall to Baylor 84-77. Who they were number 21 at the time, and Utah was number 4. They did beat rivals BYU 87-68. And then yeah, South Carolina, they take on Southern Utah this Saturday, actually. But yeah, I mean, you look at Baylor and South Carolina, their 2 best non-conference games. Well, and BYU's a rivalry game, but yeah, so nonetheless, but as you know, getting the standings out there for the Territorial Cup, I digress to that. But yeah, both teams 7-3. And well, they have a common opponent because Texas did beat Arizona 88-75. And we know what Texas that was ASU's very tough loss at their at the tournament or the invitational they played in over Thanksgiving. And that was a very tough loss, 84-42 to Texas. So they both have a common opponent that they've both lost to. But yeah, both coming in at 7-3, and it'll be obviously their first conference game. Like I said, Washington beat Washington State 60-55. Washington 10-0 overall. Washington State 10-2 overall. So it'll be very interesting conference-wise how this all goes. As again, ASU still with 2 non-conference games after the game against Arizona, but for head coach Natasha Darren, I mean, I've talked about it. We'll get more into it later, but you can see, the one thing we learned from last year, even though it was, marred by injuries, but this team, the team she has on the floor, the team that kind of like players coming off the bench, whatever, starting coming off the bench, like they're going to battle, they're going to do things. And Coach Adair, like I said, no stranger to this. We had her on, and she, took over quite a few programs that were, well, and again, ASU was different because it wasn't in a spot. Yeah, I mean the COVID year, the COVID season, that was tough on everybody. But I mean, under Charlie Turner Thorne, I mean, that was, that was a very tough season, and then again, just being able to play games, and whether they had an issue with COVID or another team did, it was tough. And then, and then her last year, coach just stepped away, but she's teaching. We had her on again. You can see this obviously on the Twitter or on X at Diablo00, the artist formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, and the YouTube Pitchfork Lunchers. Don't forget, subscribe. It's at M as in Michael, V as in Victory, C as in Cat 005 on YouTube. Subscribe. The interviews are there. Coaches, players, the voice of the Sun Devils, insiders. It's all there. And you can go back. You can binge watch over the holidays. Greatly enjoy it. and go from there. So I will constantly remind you of that. But yes, subscribe to the YouTube channel and check out all the old shows, or the past shows, I should say. Season 1 just starting, but again, but yeah, no, it's for Coach Natasha Adair. It's one of those things where, like I said, you could see last year that with players on the court, how they play, how they respond, even maybe being a little bit shorthanded for a lot of the season due to injuries. It was one of those things where at least you're seeing what she wants to get, and maybe not to the level, obviously, but the battling and the competing. And with a full off season, with a full year of recruiting. Now, I mean, she did get hired in April, and you got in late March, April, early April. But nonetheless, then when you look at it, and quite a few players hit the transfer portal, and now you have to try and bring players in. And so obviously after recruiting season, bringing players in, but, hitting the transfer portal, seeing what you can do. Ty Skinner was, again, definitely a big get. And like I said, it is unfortunate for those that haven't checked out. She is, you're like, she hasn't been out there. Well, yes, you're right. She hasn't been out there. She's unfortunately out for the season. But she does, when we talk to Coach Natasha Adair, she does have she does have a another year. So that, I mean, that's the she does have another year of eligibility. So I mean, that in and of itself is a good thing, and she gets to be around the team. But to me, it is, like I said, the only thing that is a bummer, and especially I think would have helped against, when you're taking on a UCLA, when you're taking on a Utah, a Stanford, a USC, well, pretty much the whole conference. I don't know. I mean, again, it's yeah, top to bottom, it's going to be very interesting. But when you take them on, obviously the way her and Jaden Simmons played off of each other last year, I know I've mentioned it, but you just saw them getting comfortable, like the chemistry being built, but the comfort that they had, the understanding, I should say, that they had in each other's games. That I think was going to be just even, well, to overstate the obvious, even better this year, but just pushing the team in that kind of winning directions. Like I said, battling the UCLAs, the USCs, the Colorados, the Stanfords, the Utahs. I mean, Oregon as well. Washington State. It's Oregon State. They're 7-0, and they're playing Santa Clara. Man, Santa Clara's playing a lot of Pac-12 teams, because they're taking on Santa Clara, and they are also ASU's also taking on Santa Clara after they play Arizona. Like I said, 2 more out of conference games, and then they just storm into Pac-12 play as well. So, but yeah, with Jaden Simmons and Ty Skinner, like, but you have, I again, with what they've been able to do, and you look at, like I said, being 7-3. Yes, they dropped that game at at Grand Canyon home in the third quarter. It was just a bad third quarter. Grand Canyon played good. Grand Canyon caused them not to play good, and only scoring 7 points, like I said, in that third quarter was the doom, and they lost by 7. So you think they lost by 7, right? And you figure if they score, 5 more points that quarter, not that 12 is great, but they score 12 in the second quarter, and um, and then it's different going down that stretch, So it's just very tough. But I mean, you talk about like I said, Jaden Simmons, Trayana Crisp coming around, Jaylen Brown. I mean, those three took all the 3-pointers. They took 13 threes, and they hit 7 of them. I mean, 53.8% from the 3-point line. And wow. And they shot 75% from the free throw line, 43.4% from the field. Again, you see all that and you're thinking, wow, okay. Well, Grand Canyon shot 90% from the free throw line because they got 20 attempts. They were 18 to 20. 3-point, they shot 28.6%, so not too good. And 45.8 from the field. So again, it's just that the third quarter. And the craziness is in the third quarter, ASU of that game. I forgot to mention this the other day when I was breaking it down because watching the game, I was like, they only took 1 3. They were 1 for 1 in the third quarter. And then in the fourth, they had to make a run. They were 3 for 4, shot 75%, 100%, 75%. And they were 3 for 5 in the first. So 60%, like I said, 53.8%. From the 3-point line. And I mean, for Trayana Crisp again to find that rhythm, go 4 for 7, sending a message. And she played all 40 minutes of the game, as did Jaylen Brown. Jaden Simmons played 38. Jaylen Brown did have 4 fouls, and Maggie Besselink did foul out of the game. But yeah, so I mean, that's the thing, committing the fouls, obviously, like I said, getting them, Grand Canyon getting 20 free throw shots. Yeah, that's and hitting 18 of them, 90%. Like I said, you go above 80%, coaches are feeling really good. You're at 85%, extremely good. And yeah, 90% and up, you're thinking, yeah, we've definitely won this game. We've dictated tempo. But again, it was one bad quarter. I mean, it was 19-17 after one. It was 29 all at halftime. It was 46 to 36 at the end of the third, and then 23-20. So much of a better fourth quarter for the Sun Devils, but man, it just and again, a stretch of a game, and unfortunately, if it's for in a quarter, or I'll transition to men's. Obviously, the men's game, it was one of those things where defensively, I mean, they really, as they get set to take on TCU in Dallas again in Fort Worth. Yes, as you all know, Pitchfork Lunchers, it is a rematch from this last season's tournament, and unfortunately, for us Sun Devils, TCU was able to advance, and it was a very close game. It was definitely a very close game. I mean, this is an Arizona State team last year. I know I mentioned it when I first started covering her. They finished 23-13 last year. 11-9 in conference play, 10-5 at home. You love to see 7-6 away from home, so above 500, 6-2 on a neutral site. So, I mean, they beat, when they played SMU last year, they swept this little home and home with SMU, by the way, because last year they beat them 75-57. A little closer this year. They beat San Diego last year. San Diego avenged that. So they lost to San Francisco. They beat San Francisco this year. Yeah, they lost 7. They lost by 2 to TCU. I always said 3, but they lost by 2, 72-70, and a chance to win it at the end. Well, TCU hit a last second shot, but ASU, I mean, it was a very late shot. I mean, ASU outscored them 44-37 in the first half, but then TCU outscored them 35-26 in the second. And ASU, again, parts of the second half, if you remember, unfortunately, yeah, so they lost 72-70, but in the second half, that's when TCU again. I mean, they closed in on the lead. ASU was able to hold it, but yeah, and to recall, a shot at the end, they didn't. In the set, yeah, DJ Horn hit a 3 with 15 seconds left to tie it at 70, and then Jacoby Coles got into the paint, hit a floater, and with 2 seconds left, and that was it, 72-70. But yeah, again, different team, but some guys are still there. Frankie Collins, Shemai Neal, Alonzo Gaffney, obviously. So, and they are again going to look to avenge that loss, go on the road, and obviously, neutral site ish, but TCU being in Dallas, really not that far. So at 7 p.m. on Saturday, don't forget, like I said, and then the Sunday game, the women's game, Territorial Cup, a lot of hoops there. I know I mentioned yesterday news and notes, but again, Matt Thurman will be the men's golf coach after his season. That's the word I was looking for. Apologies. After his season, He will be coaching, which again is very awesome. The 2024 Palmer Cup squad. It's a Ryder Cup style event. Again, I mentioned it yesterday, but it's being held at the Lahinch Golf Club in Lahinch, Ireland. So July 5th through 7th. So I got to see if I can get a little pitchfork launch mojo and get on out to that event to watch Coach Thurmond coach in that. That would be phenomenal. I do the shows live from Ireland. Not a problem at all. But no, that's such an awesome, again, honor and the success that Matt Thurmond has had. The success he's had, and obviously what the program has done, and the NCAA obviously appearances, this stretch that he's been on, or that the team has been on, 3 straight top 5 appearances at the NCAA championship. So again, big forks up, big shout out to Coach Thurmond. Again, definitely going to get aim to get him on as we go forward. With this, and again in the spring, as golf as he gets ready for that, but to focus on that and then focus on his team, which of course he will, and then Marta Levinska, an AVCA first team All-American from the phenomenal women's volleyball team. Again, the 50th anniversary this season. I mean, it was, a charge all the way to the Sweet 16, which preseason. And again, a lot of it is, they saw they, had 9 players back from last year. Only had 9 players in the spring when Coach Van Neal again was hired, took over, and had 9 players in the spring, but was able to work on some transfers, use the transfer portal, and some of the freshmen he brought in. It's huge, and I think Marta Levinska, though, being a first team All-American, and both Shannon Shields and I want to say Claire Jeter, right? Shannon Shields and Claire Jeter were honorable mentions. Yeah. Claire Jeter and Shannon Shields, honorable mentions. So again, hats off to them on the news and notes there. Hockey, again, absolutely rolling. Coach Powers mentioned it. And you're not going to get to, you don't have to worry. You can, you'd be kind of bummed out unless you're in Pennsylvania as they go they're headed out of town to take on Robert Morris. 11-3-4. I know I mentioned it, but I mean, 10-2-2 at home, a phenomenal home ice advantage, which one loves to see. But yeah, they're taking on Robert Morris, which is in Pittsburgh, Saturday, 5 p.m. local time. You can hear it on Fox Sports 910. If you're driving around doing some holiday shopping or headed to holiday parties, events, all that good stuff. And then that's at 5 on Saturday and then 3 on Sunday. But, if you happen to be in Pittsburgh, Robert Morris area, Devils fans, let's go. Let's get on out there. And then the 29th and 30th, they will be in Lake Placid, New York at the Adirondack Winter Invitational. So they will play Friday and Saturday. Time still to be determined. Trying to let you know. And then, like I said, after the New Year, the first home games after the New Year, the Desert Hockey Classic, which Arizona State will host. And they will host UMass Lowell, Omaha, and Harvard. And that's Friday and Saturday. So Friday kicks off at 3:30, where UMass Lowell take on Omaha, and then the Devils take on Harvard at 7 on January 5th. Again, get it in your calendars. And then on January 6th, that's Saturday, 3:30 p.m., Harvard will take on either UMass Lowell or Omaha. And then at 7, ASU will take on either UMass Lowell or Omaha. So depending on the results from the 5th is who plays who. But there is the Desert Hockey Classic, which they'll be home for. And then they're home. So that's the 5th and 6th, and the 12th and 13th. Cornell comes to town. The 19th and 20th, Augustana from South Dakota comes to town. And then Linwood comes to town February 2nd and 3rd. So a little bit of a gap there between games. And then Alaska Fairbanks comes to town February 9th and 10th. And then they go to Alaska Fairbanks. So they play home, and home with Alaska Fairbanks. The 9th and 10th, they're here. And then the 23rd and 24th of February, they head up to Alaska to take on Fairbanks. And then March 1st and 2nd, they're home for Long Island. And then they go back to Alaska. Figured they would have, well, they still have to take a few days between that. So, but February 8th and 9th, they go back to Alaska to take on Anchorage, Alaska Anchorage. So, but yeah, for March 1st and 2nd, they're home for Long Island, and then 8th and 9th. That's the end of the season. They will wrap at Alaska Anchorage, regular season, and then NCAA regionals are March 28th through March 31st. And then the Frozen Four, April 11th through April 13th. But yes, getting a little ahead of ourselves there. But yeah, a lot of home games, so a lot of chances. My point to that, though, and long story longer, is that you have a lot of chances to get out and support this team. Mullet Arena is a phenomenal electric atmosphere. And yeah, so get on out there. Again, it's on campus. Makes it even, it's not, for those that were at Oceanside, which again was a gracious host, and you had to start you started a program, you had to play somewhere, and you weren't always going to trek out to Glendale. Although they did play a few matches out there, which is really cool when they headed out there. And now the Yotes are playing in Tempe. So, yeah, so that's what's going on there. We're going to step aside and get back. There's more transfer portal to talk about. Go figure. Remind you who they have, who ASU has picked up, and recruit wise, again, I mean, the coaches are hitting the trail hard, and the coaches, like I said, are hitting the trail hard. So we will have more to talk about. But yes, there was another signee today, and just from a little bit up north, the Harvard of the Pines, NAU. So we'll step aside. More coming up here on Pitchfork Lunch. Oh yes, Cam Scattaboo from that fun game out at Mount America Stadium, Sun Devil Stadium, um, against USC, and again hanging around, and USC again uh, won that game 42-28. But it was a 6-point game going into the fourth, and yeah, Scattaboo definitely um yeah, Scattaboo again had a phenomenal game, an amazing season, and they add a little more around him. Which again, very huge. Um um and but the season, as we know, very tough. We are in transfer portal mode, guys coming in, and um but yeah, the transfer portal has been well, they've been very busy. And they just landed a long snapper, Tyler Wigglesworth, who was at NAU. Um, but and again, after the long snapper graduating, it's one of those positions that um, it's one of those positions that you don't think about until, or fans don't think about until, of course, anything that not so much kicking, because kicking again, but if it's going bad, constantly bad snaps. Um, and yeah, this will be the first signing class that is ASU's football wise for his Big 12 signing class. Um, and I see that, and when you talk to Coach Carrington, I mean the DB's coach, and I mean Rashad Samples, the receivers coach, always great to catch up with. But Chris Cartman putting out there that they are actually number 2 and number 7, respectively, in the 2024 Big 12 recruiter rankings, with under a week until early signing day. So, yes, the 20th is the early signing day. Transfer portals open, and then February will be the February is the which was used to be the big signing day, normal signing day, but they did the early signing day. And I mean, it makes sense, because even if guys had committed and they signed, I mean, football wise, but they could graduate high school early and then enroll in classes for the spring semester, participate in spring ball. And I talked about it last year. We know how huge that is. The last few years, it became more and more of I don't want to say trend. I mean, players did it, but it just became bigger. A lot more were like, hey, okay, cool. I'm graduating in December. Cool. I graduate, and then I am enrolling in. I'll be in college, so they enroll. They get to go to spring ball. Understanding more of the coaches, the system, and learning the system. And again, no matter what position you're playing, what side of the ball you're playing, obviously you're going to be on special teams, but just getting those early reps and then having the film of it to know what to do, and then getting into the strength and conditioning program even earlier. I know the dominoes keep falling. It makes it easy. You connect the dots really easy, and the dominoes fall that way. Yeah, Tyler Wigglesworth, he transferred from NAU with 3 seasons of remaining eligibility. He will compete to replace Slater Zellers, who is out of eligibility after 1 season in Tempe. So, but yeah, I mean, we had Coach Regal on talking about it. I mean, it's just in the kicking game, the things have to be, it literally has to be muscle, like extreme muscle memory, but clockwork. And, between long snapper and holder on, extra points and field goals, and even on punts, like the long snapper and the punter, like, hey, I needed to be in this zone. So Wigglesworth, local kid as well. But yes, he will be heading down to Tempe now. So went up to the Harvard of the Pines, comes back to Tempe, and again, filling that long snapper position in. But, well, again, I'll compete for it. I'm not saying it's the only long snapper they have on the and yeah, I mean, they're on the trail offering. Brian Tapu, who's 6'7", 295-pound. Well, he graduates next year, so he's a junior, but he's just been yeah, he's been offered he received an offer from ASU. So again, like I said, coaches, they're going all over. They're hitting the recruiting trail. But Wigglesworth, again, just the latest on the list of with ASU. So it's again, and they're still again, I mean, like I said, early signing days of 20th. So there's some guys that again maybe that are on the fence about with where they where they verbal to, but and so yeah, in this class they're bringing in. So on the 20th, again, we'll have a lot more. The 20th and the 21st definitely have a lot more as to what's what the Devils have going on. But yeah, what the Devils have going on, and again, just very, very stoked. Again, there's some signees, guys. The Jaden Fortier out of the he again, a tight end commit, and they brought two tight ends in, but Fortier, the young man out of Oregon, said he's excited. And again, I know ASU's as from tight end standpoint, they've definitely been targeting this young man, but says excited to say I'll be signing my NLI with at ASU football on December 20th, and this forks up. So, man, again, very stoked. And look, here's the thing, and I said this from the beginning with the transfer portal. Yes, it's recruiting to your program, and yes, if you're playing a lot for a team that's winning, chances are you're not going to enter the transfer portal. But guys that feel like, okay, they're behind some guys and, they've gotten some time, but feel that, that they've earned more. And, the coaches, they have a conversation with their coach, and that's the way it goes. But I will say this. My point though is ASU comes off a 3-9 season. So you look at, okay, some guys hit the transfer portal, but when you're bringing guys in from it, to me, it's the tougher part of, okay, why did these guys leave? Like, yes, it's a new coaching staff, but everything that's said. And, I got to find the clip too. Tangent. I'm not going to go off a tangent, but about what Ryan Clark said about Kenny Dillingham, because obviously Jordan Clark transferred to Notre Dame. But when you see that for guys coming in, like, you got to think, okay, yes, I got to hear what the coaching staff wants. Am I going to be a fit? I don't want to be in the same spot that I'm in now. We understand that. But to me, it's almost tougher in the transfer portal when they see, okay, 3-9. Okay, yes, you did have a lot of injuries. Yes, it was tough. But for Coach Dillingham, the whole staff, talking to obviously Coach Mons, Coach Regal, throughout the season. And even, Coach Iguano, and like I said, Coach Samples, Coach Carrington. It's just, even Coach Chuitele, it was one of those things where, it just builds up. And, but it's tougher to me to reach into the transfer portal and, guys that are very sought after, or, they're just done with where they're at, whatever the situation may be outside of playing time. But they see the record. It's like, are they going to give him time of day? Well, look, Coach Dillingham and this staff have the drive and energy to get in front of these kids. And Jaden Rashada, he had some, like I said, the Mamba mentality tweet. And then he put out another one yesterday. It said 2 big ones this weekend, Sun Devil Nation. He goes, let's do it. And it says reunited. So look, yeah, that's not the tweet of a guy that, like I said, is tuck tailing and running, and he's too much of a competitor. And I don't, again, having seen his growth from the spring to the fall through the whole season, and with what he had to deal with, obviously with the injury and sitting out. And sitting out, it's one of those things where I can't. When you see the tweet, it's absolutely awesome because there's no tuck tailing and running. There's no, okay, I learned this. It'll be his second year in the system. Competition, yes, will drive you, but there's a lot of obviously upside there, and the fact that he was able to get back and play in the Arizona game, and again within the 4. So again, a redshirt season. Again, love this kid's drive and just being around him. And I mean, obviously see the talent, but sticking with the program with Coach Dillingham. And yeah, I mean, if maybe again, if things don't work out in the spring to how he likes, he could, hit the portal then and end up somewhere else as well. So I don't but I don't see that from him whatsoever at all. So again, very excited. I mean, Raleek Brown, like I said, the young man from that's transferring from USC. And I mean, look, you have I mean, the offensive line, I think, needs to be Coach Dillingham said needs to be addressed, but there are, again, I mean, you get guys in, on the D line, in the secondary, where you've lost quite a few, obviously, to the NFL draft. Like I said, shout out to Ro Torrance and to Chris Edmonds. And look, I mean, and then Jordan Clark transfers, but Xavier Alford, he didn't get to play last year because of the whole not being cleared. His appeal, being denied, but you get like a receiver in Jake Smith too. So it's, again, staying obviously healthy is a huge thing, but the transfer portal so far, absolute money that what this staff has done. And we're aiming to, I got to finalize it, but be catching up with Coach Iguano tomorrow. And like I said, it's been a busy recruiting season. And this is the time of year. I mean, early signing day has done this because, like, for teams that are playing in bowl games, and tomorrow I will hit bowl matchups off the top of the show. I mean, no, I'm going to wait it not because ASU isn't going to a bowl game. They weren't bowl eligible anyway, but I will talk some bowl matchups. Obviously, let you know where Pac-12 will be. Obviously, we know the college football Final Four, unless you've, like my grandpa used to say, unless you've been under a rock. Michigan number 1, Washington number 2, Texas number 3, Alabama number 4, should be Florida State. But anyway, I'll keep saying that. Just like I said, it should have been Penn State when Ohio State got in without beating Michigan, without winning the Big Ten. Or no, they did beat Michigan. They just didn't get into the Big Ten championship game. And they had no business being there. And they didn't score on Clemson. They got shut out, smacked around, and, of course, got a ton of money for that. But, we have to put them in. So, anywho, no, it's not bitterness. I just love talking the crap about it because, when any of my teams get hammered, I hear it from them a lot. And that's fine. I invite it. But, oh, yes, the things we won't forget. And yeah, speaking of Xavier Alford, he's chomping at the bit to get going. Like the new year and spring ball can't get here fast enough for this young man. And I can't wait to see him on the field. I mean, other than just, practicing, but yes, very, very excited. Very excited. Transfer portal does this. So anyway, y'all have a most wonderful day. It is, yes, have a great rest of your Thirsty Thursday. I will see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. Like I said, I'll put out there. I got to confirm again, the schedule. We're kind enough to do it, but plus just had a recent graduate in the family. Talk about that too. But yeah, I'm going to get out of here as, again, aiming to have Coach Iguano. He was in the running back. He's a running backs coach, but last year we know he became the interim head coach. Coach Dillingham kept him on. Talked about that. but yeah, talk about recruiting with him and, good fun family stuff because we've known each other for a few minutes. And Coach Guano, again, always been gracious to especially even a young high school covering high school football, a young reporter covering high school football. Coach Guano, always, again, just so engaging and gracious, and knowing that a reporter is not giving away a game plan, because if somebody's depending on me to get an advantage, they're going to be in a big trouble too. So anywho, have a great rest of your Thursday. I will see you tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. And enjoy Thursday as we get set for, again, a big weekend in some hoops. But I'll be back tomorrow. See you then. And yes, Pitchfork Lunchers, you know it. That's right. As always, forks up.
Cherry's three. Johnny Walker. Matching up against control. His shot. Bruce score. They score. They tie the game up 2-2. Some drives out for Robbie Ryan. Her three right on the money. This is Taya Hansen for three. Other side of the rim with a pretty reverse. Wow. 5 seconds to go. Find Hawk. Hawk spins. It rolls off. And Arizona State wins it. Edwards pulls off. And buries it. Takes the shot.